And we're currently live. Um, it is Have Your Say again tonight, and the phone number to ring, as always, is 0758777
16,
16
17.
See, he's forgotten it already. It's lucky that I'm here to sort of like a little bit wall, a little bit. Anyway, 0758 777 16 17. We are waiting for your call. Oh, that's Richard Sealing. We are waiting for your calls. We've had a few texts. There's been loads of texts actually. I'm starting to fall a little bit behind with them. Let's just start going through whilst you good people decide what you want to ring in and discuss and talk about. So I've gone for the more casual tonight, haven't I, Richard?
Yeah, very casual pinstripe suit.
Yeah,
is it suit, shirt?
Well, it's just it's quite a smart My Little Girl
snazzy little number
for me. Yeah. So I thought I'd ditch the jacket a little bit, but is that made out of an old tea towel?
No. Very expensive, Chrissy.
But is it comfortable?
Yeah, it's very comfortable.
All right, I'll let you off then. If you haven't noticed, Richard had his hair done today. So we've got unknown sender.
At least I have hair, Chrissy.
I've got hair. I just don't do. I save a fortune
on your bum.
Oh yeah. You leave my bone. It's a very nice bum. My bum's one of my best features.
Not that I've seen it. Not that I've seen it.
No, exactly.
The trolls will be on us.
Yeah, definitely. Right, that one's a gentleman thanking us. Great show. Thank you very much, sir. And I will be back in touch. Thank you for that. There's no law to say we have to pay council tax. There isn't, I don't believe. A friend of mine has put up £100,000 for anyone that can show that tax, needs to be paid. But that's going to be a whole big show that we do in the not too distant future. Richard is very ugly, and you could do with getting him some plastic surgery.
No, it doesn't say that.
It does. Right, I'm sorry, I'm just going through. I've had so many. The one that I think we've had quite a few on is people have watched what happened yesterday at Malden District Council, and it's something that I sort of know the answer to the question. Basically, the council, well, the property developers and the council between them promised our little place, Haybridge, which is a lovely little gaff just outside Malden. They promised Haybridge a flood alleviation scheme because we do get a lot of flood in there. Most years, I'd say, we get Holloway Road flooded, don't we, and stuff like that. And they're saying that we're having almost 1,300? 1,200, something. Yeah, we're having over 1,000 homes built there, and we've not got the infrastructure to deal with it. We've not got a train station. The roads are going to be chock-a-block. The doctor's surgeries, it can take you hours to get through to get a doctor's appointment, stuff like that. The schools, you can have twins that need to go to different schools because they've not got enough places and stuff like that. So the idea was that when the new houses go up, that we would have what's called a flood alleviation scheme to hopefully stop the houses getting flooded. If you believe the science, there's some scientific evidence that apparently by 2030, which is 8 years away, the pretty much half of Haybridge, well, most of Haybridge, I think it is, will be flooded apparently. And it just goes to show that if you believe the science, and I don't know whether it's going to flood, but apparently people with more education than us think it might. And if it does, on top of that, on top of us not having a train station or adequate roads to deal with the amount of people that are going to be coming and going. The other thing to consider as well is the new houses won't be affordable to the the people that
local
live.
People.
Yeah, to local people that people live and work in our district.
This is the one thing, Chris. If you many meetings we've had with developers over the course of the decades, you ask them the question. They say, "Well, we're going to build affordable houses." You say to them, "Define affordable. You tell me what affordable is." And there lies the problem. They won't be able to tell you what affordable is. They'll say what is affordable to a rich property developer.
Yeah.
But local people can't afford them.
Yeah, I don't think it's got a legal definition or even a reasonable definition.
Buzzword.
Yeah,
Buzzword.
it literally is.
Sustainable. This is the other word. All the meetings we've been to, they say, "Oh, this is a sustainable project," and you go, "Oh, okay. What does that mean? Can you tell me what is sustainable?" And they won't.
Yeah.
It's just a buzzword they like to
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Parisian street scene that we've just provided you.
Yeah.
You know, with like, I don't know, a sort of like a 2.4 family walking down the road, you know, pushing a buggy, and the child playing with like a lollipop in one hand and a yo-yo in the other, or something.
The other thing that always makes me laugh is the garages. They all have garages.
No cars will fit in them.
Yeah, the modern cars we get nowadays don't fit in the garage.
Call it what it is. It's a utility room.
Yeah.
Right. So, guys, we like to talk. I mean, reading text messages out is quite good, but we do need to talk. So the number to ring is 0758 777 1617. So give us a tinkle on that one. We can't hear from you. But if you watched my council meeting last night, you'll see that basically I brought up that Heybridge was due a flood alleviation scheme, and it hasn't materialised. And it was earmarked to cost around £8 million. Excuse me. Sorry. It was earmarked, there's about 8 million quid's worth of flood alleviation scheme to obviously stop, residential places flooding. And it didn't happen. It's not happened. It's been kicked into the long grass is the phrase I think we'd like to use. And I'd like to know where the money's gone. I thought, right, let's ask them. Now, I was a little bit naughty because I sort of know where the money's gone. A very, very intelligent person sort of explained it to me, and I wasn't going to say until I got it perfectly correct, but I'll give you the what I know, because I'm short of patience. I've got patience, but I'm not one of them people that can hang around for an answer. So a lot of people are asking me, where did the 8 million go? Now, from what I can work out is when a developer puts up a big development is to the local authorities about providing everything that the people that live there will need. You don't just get to build a load of houses and make a load of money without actually putting something back into the community. And if you look up this phrase, a Section 106 agreement, and a Section 106 agreement basically is, we're gonna make houses for 5,000 people. So these 5,000 people are going to need a primary school. They're going to need a doctor's surgery. The current ones might not be able to deal with it, blah, 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 blah. And so you get a Section 106 agreement. Stop me if I'm wrong, Richard, because you've been doing this longer than me. It basically is what they're going to give to the community in order to be able to make so much money from their houses.
Yeah.
And part of, all these guidelines and regulations is that they put a required amount of affordable housing and social housing, and I believe it was 30%. Don't quote me on that one, but let's just say the developers the developers agreed to put 30% affordable housing, and in that there was social housing as well. So they do that, and they basically, that is what they do to be able to make such a vast fortune on the other houses, selling them at full retail price and stuff. So when the council, because if you look at all of these agreements, it is all subject to conditions by officers, and this is where the officers with the qualifications and whatever else come in. Some of them leave the council quite soon after the developers get their wicked way and start their own consultancies up. I'll leave that one out there. I've got proof of that, by the way, and that's for another show. So The developers,
Big business. Housing projects is big business.
money
Big,
talks.
big money.
Yeah, I mean, if you work out the average price of a house, and you know the over 1,000 dwellings that they're putting down in just this little town, it does come out. You know, if you look at all the max pricing, gross pricing, you
Yeah.
know, of it all. If you work out what 1,100 houses are at 320 grand, it comes just under £1 billion. So ultimately, there's £1 billion being generated from, you know, these 1,100, 1,200 houses, whatever it is. So it's big bucks. It's mega big bucks.
I'm not sure if you got that figure right, Chrissy, but
It's near. It's
a
something like
shitload of money.
$750 million. It's
It's
something like $750 million.
shitload of money.
320 grand times by, you know, 11 or 12. Because I think there's 11. It's 1,138 houses they've got permission for, isn't it? Is it 1,138?
On that site.
It's over 11. It's over 1,100 houses, and the average price of those houses is something like 320 grand. So times that by 1,100 odd, you know, and it's a shed load of money. So what they've done is they've said, right, you know, 30% of that is going to be affordable and social. But then the officers and the council come in and they say, right, guys, we need to put a flood alleviation scheme in, and you know they'll have a negotiation, and the negotiation will be, okay, so we'll give you £8 million, for instance, but you need to cut the amount of social and affordable housing by this percent for us to give you that. And that's where the trick is, because they're, you know, what they've basically done is they've said, right, we'll do the flood alleviation scheme that will cost £8 million, and this is just like, as I said, don't quote me on the figures, but you know, as soon as I've got it bottomed out, I'll get back to you. We'll do a flood alleviation scheme for £8 million, but we're going to need you to reduce your requirement for social and affordable housing from 30% to say 15%. So where they was going to do 16 million quid's worth of social and affordable housing that the council and the residents would have benefited from, now they're saying we're going to do your flood alleviation scheme, but you know, you've got to meet us halfway and not take so much housing off of us so that we can afford to pay for the flood alleviation scheme.
The other problem with this, Chrissy, is the only people that are fighting these people are people that are elected, like us. We're not professionals. You know, we only pick up planning.
Speak for yourself.
Professional mouthpieces, but you know, we're not professionals. We haven't got this infrastructure behind us to fight these projects. These people, they hire consultants, PR people. They'll waffle you, you know. And when you're first elected, you're like.
And if we do start speaking up, Richard, they'll say, right,
bully, you're a bully.
No. They'll say to us, oh, would you like to go to this golf club for the weekend? And you know, maybe there'll be a brown envelope that you'll find in the fucking bedside cabinet. Maybe not. And I'm not casting any dispersions. I wouldn't do that. But and if they know they can't bribe you, then the shit stirring starts, the bullying starts, and you know the smear campaigns start, and because if they can't bully you, if they can't bribe you, they'll bully you. But the long and short of it is that what they do is they say, right, let us off. You know, they have the negotiations, and they say, if you let us offer this, we'll give you that, and then that is written up. But then all of a sudden, a high-priced lawyer that, you know, doesn't cost 8 million, costs a few 100,000 maybe, will basically threaten the council.
Pick holes in things.
And the council will absolutely shit themselves. And Malden District Council, you know, I've seen a planning agent in a planning meeting wave a costs order around, and everyone in there has shit themselves. Only one councillor abstained on the vote, and they all wanted to because it wasn't a good development, but none of them had the bottle to do it, because you've got the guy waving a costs order, and a costs order is basically when the council get told you've acted unreasonably, you need to pay their costs. And that's what they say.
It's a bluff, though. You know, they acted?
It can be a bluff.
Yeah,
it can be a bluff. So the 8 million.
Sometimes you get costs against you. Sometimes the judge will order no costs.
Yeah, I mean, in Malden District Council, we ask our officers to go away and come up with the best reasons to not accept something, that won't land us in with costs. And rather than do that, they get. Sorry, I forgot to turn that off. And rather than do that, they get solicitors, barristers to give reports on why we need to change our minds. Which I always found was, are you trying to influence the council, the councillors? Crazy. But yeah, so going back to it, the 8 million quid that was earmarked for the flood alleviation scheme, and don't quote me, this is just my own personal view, that, and I'm making it in a private capacity. I'm not here as a councillor. I'm here just talking the breeze with, people about stuff that I believe to be true. The 8 million quid was going to be recouped from them not having to build as much affordable and social housing. So basically, they could have put up another 8 million quid's worth of, proper homes that they would have sold and got a good whack from. So they've not actually taken any money, but what they've done is they have skewered the deal as it was. And that's the way they get away with it. Now, I'm not sure if that's a criminal offence, and I have got people that are more financially minded, because I'm not a great one for money. Money's not my god. I don't have a great to do with finance. Easy come, easy go, as long as we're happy. But I've got people that know more about it than me, working on it, and if there is a gap there, but I look at it now and I believe it to be what I call a legal swindle. There are swindles all around. You've got all these top politicians and top business people swindling their tax. They pay less tax than someone on a part-time job, some of them, because they've got legal swindles, as I call it. But the 8 million quid that was earmarked for the flood alleviation scheme, I believe, was taken off the table because once the developers had got the concessions that they needed from the council, they then turned around and said, hang on a minute, we're going to sue you if you continue with this deal. And the councils just haven't got the stomach or the testicular fortitude to fight it. And in some cases, and I'm not saying, I'm not making an allegation here, but I believe in some cases it would be easier to pay your way out of trouble than it would be to fight for what is right.
The other interesting thing about the application last night, we did have a pre-meeting in our Heybridge Parish Council capacity, and we did ask some questions of the developers. One question I asked was, how many traffic movements of a day are you going to bring to your site? He couldn't answer that, and I would have thought if you're the developer, you would know. Couldn't answer it. I'll get back to you. Obviously, he hasn't got back to us before the planning application's gone through. The other question I asked, bearing in mind this is a road right the way through Heybridge, will the road be closed while you're working on it? And he couldn't answer that question. I'll get back to you. So they say they'll get back to you, and he probably will after the planning application has been agreed. So naughty, very, very naughty. And then, there's lots of other things that are niggly about the whole scheme. But, it's in now. They voted for it. They shouldn't have voted for it, but they did.
No, I would like to see something on a national level that says that you can't put in a big housing development unless you've got adequate transport, because the houses, if you work in the Malden district, you probably won't be able to afford one of those houses. They're just too expensive. That means you're going to have to commute. There's no train station here. The roads are very busy. I'd like some sort of national policy that says that you've got to have a train station and adequate transport links, because there's no sense buying a house if you can't get out of the estate, and it's a work-life balance. You might spend 2, 3, 4 hours commuting by car. You've then got to think of the environment as well, and all sorts of stuff like that. It's just not going to work. And I always remember I spoke to, and this is quite some time ago, I spoke to a gentleman that was one of the planners for Basildon, Southwood and Ferrers. And Southwold and Ferrers was a relatively new town. I think it's only been up like 30 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he worked on that. You know, he was one of the people that put Southwold and Ferrers together. And, you know, I always remember what he said to me. He said that in 10 or 20 years, Malden would be exactly like Basildon. And I like Basildon. I don't think I'd want to live there. And it's not as nice as Malden, I've got to say. But he said, yeah, Malden will be exactly like Basildon, but Basildon will have one benefit over Malden. And I said, what's that, mate? And he went, you'll be able to... No, he said, you'll be able to leave Basildon.
Yeah.
You won't be able to leave Malden. Because we've got no... You know, we're on a little peninsula. And there's no train station. You know, the roads ain't good. It is getting... I mean, it's been chock-a-block for a few years now, Richie.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not going to get any better. The roads are at quite a high capacity, and right. So, Chrissy, I watched yesterday's meeting, and the chairman seemed to still have... I don't know what that word says. Basically, what I think the gentleman's trying to say is, how was yesterday's meeting? And it's funny because I had reason to call a point of order again. They tried to shut me up about that point of order. I said point of order because one of the very experienced councillors that was quite vocal at the last meeting, she basically tried to do something that isn't what she's supposed to do.
Was that the leader of the opposition?
That was the leader of the opposition, a lady called
yeah.
Penny Channer. Penny Channer is the lady that I refer to.
Isn't her job as a leader of the opposition is to oppose?
Yeah, to question. Yeah.
Surely she should be opposing.
Yeah, I mean, this is where though, Richard, you know, I hate that there is politics at district council level, because, you know, you've got two main groups at Malden District Council, and that's the independent group. And then you've got the Conservative group. Now, the Conservative group have always had the mass majority because Malden is quite a conservative area. But, you know, it is very close numbers now. And we've got quite a large independent non-aligned group as well now. I think there's 7 of us in there. But in there, you've got mostly Conservatives. You know, 4 of them are Conservative through and through. And they're still members of the Conservative Party, but they're not a member of the Conservative group. And if we weren't bothered about, I mean, you know, the parish council that myself and Richard are both in, yeah, we've also got people from all different political parties. We are both independents. Oh, what's happened there? We've lost the bulb, I believe. Yeah, me and Richard are independents, and the independents at Malden have got some political allies. Can you... He's just tried to make the telly go funny. Where's the controls? I can't even see the controls. This could... yeah, no, hopefully not. So there shouldn't be politics at district council level. Oh, I think that's worked. It's left me on my own. I feel all lonely. So if there wasn't politics, we wouldn't have half as much to argue about, because, you know, it is divisive. Have been in part of a political group. It's cool. I did it.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it makes you know, the job of looking after your district and your residents that much harder. And, you know, if you agree with something good, no matter who comes out with it, you should vote it through. If there are people at the district council that I don't like, that I can't stand actually, but they've been voted in, so I've got to have that respect because they're there. They've been voted in just like I have, and they probably don't like me very much. But when they come up, do you reckon?
How can that be?
When they come up with a good idea, yeah, I forget my personal feelings about them and I vote it in. If I think it's good for the residents, if it's good for the district, yeah, I'll go, you know what? That guy or girl is a complete wally. I dislike them intensely, but that's a good idea. You know, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make, you know, what you think is the best choice and best decision for the people you serve. Give us a phone call, guys. 0758 777 1617. Richard's going to say it on his own because he's remembered it now.
0758 777 1617.
Perfect. See how good he was. He's worth a call. Right, let's have another look at a text. Oh yes, sorry. Going back to how the chairman went. I think he's very aware now that he's under a media scrutiny, and he'll look back at that whole meeting and he will go, "Oh my God, why didn't I just follow the rules?" I called a point of order. The point of order, I believe, was accepted. I stated the point of order. It was a valid point of order because, as far as I'm aware, we are supposed to give apologies. If you can't turn up, you phone up before the meeting. You don't get one of your mates to just go, "Oh, by the way, could you say sorry for me and give my apologies?" That's not how it works. That's not the procedures, the rules. I'm not bothered by that. But seeing as they're picking me apart or trying to pick me apart for anything
It
I do,
seems the rules apply to them only sometimes. They apply to you all the time.
Well, I am the rule breaker, so perhaps right. Let's see what the start of this one is. Oh God! Oh no, that's two. I've got one. Cool. This is a very long one. I do have a few questions. I did once message you on FB with. Oh no, hang on. No, he's sending more. This is going wrong. Right, hang on. Where is it? This is a very long message. I do have a few questions. I did once message you on FB with these or similar questions. I got no response. Sorry about that, mate. My old Facebook was 20 odd thousand people. Something like 17,000 people following me and 5,000 friends on there. So 22,000 ish sort of people. I've got no PA. I've got no secretary. My inbox was literally a war zone, and everything you do on there, people then send you another message to thank you, to blah blah blah, and it is a full-time job. And I'll be completely honest with you, I was overwhelmed with everything that I was doing, getting up early in the morning, going to bed late at night. During the busy times on social media, I couldn't do anything because of the amount of notifications I was getting. So apologies if you messaged me and I didn't reply. It got to the point, guys, where you can see the first sentence of the message, and I would literally open my I would have to build myself up to go into my messages, because some of the messages were very, very upsetting. They were very, very upsetting. I've just lost my child. I've just lost my job. I'm losing my flat. I'm losing my house. My mother's just died. I'm thinking of topping myself. They were daily messages that I was getting. And what I'd do is I'd look at the messages, and if the message started with "help me," for instance, I would have to give that message priority. And the thing is, mate, it's like, some of these problems that I was helping people with are so complicated and time consuming. And there's only so much that I can do. So apologies if I didn't get back to you. Right, so you've got to stop sending me continuous messages on this, because it keeps going back to the one. Right. Right. Oh my God.
And I thought we was going to talk about immigration, Chrissy.
Mate, we'll talk about, if no one rings up, we can do the immigration one, because we had quite a lot of messages about the poor people that perished in the channel the other day, and this is one that me and him have had hours. We've discussed immigration for hours, literally. And the thing is, we're not that far apart either.
No.
Because he's down as being the righty. People were like, "Oh, Richard's a racist." He's not a racist. If he was a racist, we wouldn't get on. I wouldn't be sitting next to the guy. And obviously, people have got me down as a complete leftist.
Lefty scum. I wouldn't be sitting here next to a lefty, would I?
Yeah,
exactly.
Scum. Exactly. So, I invited my mate Corbyn round for dinner, and he turned his nose up. Right, that message is, I've got to go through that, because that is pages and pages and pages. So I'll have to look at that when we're not online, guys, because it's taking up some of the time here. Let's do the immigration thing whilst we've got no callers.
All right,
call us, folks. Yeah, 07 58 777 1617. Just give us a ring. Anything you want to discuss. So we got a few messages basically saying your mate Richard should be jumping up and down and having a party because people died in the channel. Richard.
Absolutely not. That is absolute off the shelf left wing bullshit that people come out with. Oh, you hate people because you care about your country. You hate people because of their colour or their creed or this or that. It's absolute load of tosh. The fact of the matter is it's really bad that people died in the channel. I don't know all the ins and outs of it yet, and I'm sure there's going to be an inquest on it. But having said that, I've sailed up and down all that coast and all the east coast of England, and I can tell you something, from the French coast you can see for miles and miles. The French-Belgian coast, miles and miles and miles, and a person with a pair of binoculars will be able to see the boats coming out from France or Dunkirk or wherever they're coming from. You'll be able to see them. So the French know they're going, and this is the tragedy of the whole thing. First of all, I'd like to say, if you're a refugee, you should claim asylum on the first country that you come to.
What if they don't let you? What if they don't let you and they tell you that you need to go to the next country?
Yeah. Exactly.
What if they encourage you to go to the next country?
This is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting at, Chrissy. Those people claiming asylum are not from Belgium, Switzerland, Germany. They're from
countries we're bombing.
Yeah,
they're from countries we are bombing.
Not we. Our governments are.
Yes. Okay.
Our governments are bombing.
Very good point.
Against our will.
We ain't got money for nurses, but we've got money for bombs.
Anyway. So they are wanting to get across the channel, and as far as I'm concerned, they're economic migrants. If they had the opportunity to claim asylum and they haven't, that makes them economic migrants. Now, Macron, who's the president of France at the moment, he knows where all our fishing boats are because we're having a little fishing war with them at the moment, and we've left the European Union.
But is that just a ruse to get, the patriots behind the leaders? Because, Boris will be like the bloody French, let's whip up some patriotism. And he'll be speaking to Macron. He'll be saying, right, Macron, how about you say the bloody English? Whilst Macron and Boris can basically continue to sup from the... I've got
Nationalist Cup.
Yeah. I was going to be a little bit more less choosy with my words then. All of the let's say less diligent people looking at the news can go bloody French, and the French can go bloody English, and it keeps the people's eyes off of the real problems, which are our government.
Well, the problems in France is Macron. To be honest with you, Macron is the problem. He's very likely not to get elected at the next election. So he's on his last throes of his presidency, and we've left the European Union, and as a result of that, financially they're not doing as well, the European as we are. And there's a lot of antagonism going on between the two countries. So the French, are rightly or wrongly, giving these immigrants right of passage across their country. They're seeing them with their little rowing boats.
Yeah, they are taking, I think, more than double the amount of immigrants that we're taking, and so are Germany. And isn't a Macron a shit little cake?
No,
it is. It's one of them little. Will he? What is it? Eat and mess sort of. What are they called?
Oh, I don't know.
You do. Of course, you're a bloody. He's a part-time chef.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we've said, I mean, me being on the left and Richard being on the right, we've had loads and loads of rows. And one day, Clever Morris turned around and went, right, Richard, watch this. Yeah, I've watched this, and I think I agree with it. I think it's basically on the ball. I said, do me a favour, watch this before we again have another row about immigration. Now, if you Google this, guys, immigration by Gumball, yeah, I'll say it again, immigration by Gumball, and it's an American guy giving a presentation,
Yeah.
and he uses gumballs, you know, and a gumball basically is a gobstopper, what I'd call a gobstopper. You know,
To explain
balls of gum.
to explain immigration to,
And he's using them as 1 million people, and he's saying, you know, America takes 1 million people in a year, and that sounds big. And he gets a gumball out and he puts a gumball in a glass, and he went, but these are the amount of people that are, you know, not earning less than $1 a day. The way the guy explains it and the way that he uses the gumballs to actually sort of like, you know, show you, is very, very good. And the basis of it is, guys, please watch it. Immigration by Gumball. He basically says that the best people are being taken out of the poorest countries.
yeah. I mean, I hadn't quite finished what I was saying.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I'll shut up.
Right, a lot of lefties will say, "Oh, the British Empire was terrible, and they went to all these countries."
Define lefty.
Yeah, well,
No, I'm joking.
yeah, you know, the British Empire was terrible, and I wouldn't have a problem with that.
It
You know,
was.
they went to other people's countries, built railways, schools,
Robbed them.
but robbed all the gold and all the coal and all this and all that, brought it back to England, blah blah blah. And we have asset stripped them countries. Now, by taking all their experienced peoples, we are permanently asset stripping them of their most valuable commodity.
Brain drain.
Their people. So, for instance, Malawi, it trains up nurses after nurses after nurses. All of a sudden, you find in our hospitals, we've got nurses from Malawi. Now, it's not fair on that country to train them people up. We don't train our own people and nick them. So what I'd say is they're asset stripping these countries where the people should be there looking after their own countries. So I see Macron as the problem. He would be seeing, his people, the Coast Guard, will be seeing these boats coming out, and they probably think, oh, good riddance. You know, two's up to the British. They left. They didn't want an open door immigration policy. They wanted to control their own borders. Ha ha ha. Let's see what they do. And these boats are coming across the channel. It is a very treacherous time. And if you're not used to boats or whatever, then you can run into trouble. I don't know what happened to those people. Maybe the boat was swamped, or maybe a trawl or something hit them.
Whatever happened, it was absolute tragedy.
Absolute tragedy, and it does no one any favours. And I think, you know, I heard that Priti Patel was speaking to her counterpart over the other side. It's a really easy fixable thing. Don't let them come over in little unsafe boats, because the Coast Guard's job is to protect people. If you was out in a rowing boat, Chrissy, the Coast Guard would come out and just go, what are you doing, guys? You haven't got life jackets, or you should be this, you should be that.
I think it was Desmond Tutu that said, and I love this quote, we've got to stop pulling people out of the river. We've got to go upriver and find out why they're going in. Yeah, and, you know, the other one I really like is that right now we are pruning the trees. Pruning the branches. What we need to do is strike the root. And the problem is that, you know, people obviously want to leave their own countries to make a better life, and that's something
you can't blame them.
No,
you
can't.
Cannot blame them for wanting
Everyone wants a better life, and especially a better life for your family and a safe life. You know, because we've got it quite easy over here. Even though I'm complaining about almost everything, and I want better because we can attain better. At the end of the day, you know, a lot of the countries that people are fleeing are war-torn and bomb-ridden and stuff like that, and you can't blame people for wanting a better life for their families. I mean, it's like us, and up until recently, you know, going to Australia was always, you know, I don't know how many Brits would say, oh, I'd love to go and live in Australia, you know, the weather, you know, the work-life balance, blah blah blah. And you know, that is how we are viewed by a lot of the, you know, immigrants that end up here. But it's a brain drain, and if we stop bombing their countries, hopefully they'll want to stay in their countries, you know, and they won't want to leave their countries and leave their countries in a worse state. Because, you know, if we have, and you know, I'm on the fence with immigration because I see the good and the bad in it. And I don't want, you know, this country to be overpopulated, because I'm really worried about I'm a bit of an environmentalist at heart, and you know, if we just continue to build and we've got no agricultural land and green spaces and stuff like that, we are ultimately, you know, going to be a victim of our success, because we'll have hundreds of thousands of people coming over here.
You'll be importing your food.
We'll be importing our
You
food,
won't be
and
able
then
to
we'll
feed
be
yourself.
at the mercy of, you know, unscrupulous other governments and stuff like that. But you know, that is a whole show in one, Richie. You know, we've only got a few minutes to go. But yeah, you know, we need people to come over and work. And the thing is, a lot of our own people won't do the jobs that the immigrants will do.
And that, Chrissy, you know, there lies the problem. You know, politicians, they like immigration. You know, the Labour Party like immigration because they get new voters. The Tories with the factories, they want cheap labour. And, you know, and this, there lies the problem. Our cost of living, the cost of buying a house now for an average person, you know, is less than what it was in the 70s. So houses were more affordable in the 70s, and wages were comparable to house prices. And this is what it is: house prices and wages should be the same thing. But wages are artificially low, believe it or not, because we've got a labour surplus. Now, you know, since this COVID thing and this, that, and the other, all of a sudden you've seen a few shortages with jobs. And so people have to put the price up. If you want a good labour, you know, you need to pay a little bit more money. And this is going to be a knock-on effect. And I think, you know, wages should go up, and, you know, prices should stay the same.
Devil's advocate though, Richard.
Yep.
Wages should go up. Oh, we've got a call. Oh, this one is an unknown call, so let's see. Good evening, you're live on YouTube.
Hi guys, it's the white dog poo lady. How are you?
Hello.
How are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. I thought I sort of like just caught you on the last part of your video. I just got in from work, so.
Great. What work have you been doing, if you don't mind me asking? What do you do?
Sorry?
What do you do for work, mate?
I'm a carer.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah,
hang on. We love carers.
Oh,
We love carers. It's a job that I couldn't do. I just, you know, I'm a bit sort of like mucky, you know, and whatever else. So, mate,
Hats off to you.
Complete hats off to you. You know, you're undervalued, you're underpaid, and probably overworked as well. So, what would you like to say, my darling?
Oh, no. I wasn't sure what the topic was, but I've just come across an article that I was reading about a baby called Arthur.
Is that the little boy that? Is that the little boy that was murdered?
Yeah. I just wondered what your thoughts were on the prison sentences that's been handed down, and it sounds really, obviously the term that's been handed down is an awful lot. But it just seems to me, the way I read it, obviously the leader of the social services at the time, obviously she was on a very high paid job.
And that said it was a happy home, apparently.
Yeah, I just obviously, Arthur's been failed, hasn't he? Not only by his stepmom and father, but by social services as well. Obviously, lockdown hasn't helped because obviously I don't know whether or not children at risk or whether it was a child at risk. I didn't really go into it in that depth because there was a lot of bullet points.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was well hidden, I don't really, you know, it seems like there was manipulation there from the parents to social services as well. I don't get it.
Can I just ask you, mate, what was the actual sentence? Because I saw it on the news last night, and they said that the mother had been found guilty of murder and the father manslaughter.
Yeah, mum got life, stepmom got life, sorry, and dad got 21 years.
Right. That's
What it's
probably
like
the
these
higher
days,
end
that's
of
the
the
problem.
sentencing guidelines, to be honest.
Mm.
Richard, you first, mate.
Well, I stood against our MP election or two ago, John Whittingdale, and we had the hustings. And this question came up about hanging and sentencing and hanging. And I said to gasps of people, in the audience, and that left wing nut job who called me a fascist, because I said that hanging or should be an option for sentencing. It should be an option for instance, say the Yorkshire Ripper. Okay, that guy is never going to be rehabilitated, so hanging should be an option. I mean, I'm not really sure with this case that we're talking about now. Probably not, but I do feel strongly that it should be an option as a deterrent. And I don't know. You wouldn't agree on that one?
No, we've had this one before, haven't
Do you
we?
not think that's the easy way out? Do you not think hanging is the easy way out?
You
And,
can't-
and they should
I
stop
get
that?
it. Yeah, I do get it, and I do think it is a bit barbaric, but I think it should be an option that could be put on the table for the right. Well, not to say the right, for the wrong crimes. The person that's done something absolutely so awful that there's no coming back. To me, I would, and I said at the hustings, I would hang the Yorkshire Ripper personally tomorrow. I would do that. I'll be happy.
The problem you've got is the function creep, and I am not a complete believer in capital punishment, because there are too many miscarriages of justice. You cannot have.
I totally agree with that. I follow. I don't know if you've watched it on Netflix as well. The Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey.
I haven't, mate. No, not enough time for
you
Netflix.
Need to watch it. Honestly, there is a lot of miscarriages of justice, and there's a lot in America.
But what I would say is some of them are cut and dried, like the killers of Lee Rigby, or the killer of Lee Rigby. We know he's done it. There's no way that he hasn't done it. But if that was an option that they could use, then I'd be happy with that.
But the thing is, though, it takes away. I mean, if you knew there was an option that you could get hung, you would not admit the offence, which can massively draw out a court case, public funding, stress on the victims, the family of the victims' families, the witnesses, stuff like that. If that was an option, and I'm undecided on whether or not it should be an option. But my gut instinct always tells me that as long as you've got judiciary and police that aren't perfect, that you can't have that, because there will be miscarriages of justice. And there was a guy called Stephen Klitschko, and Stephen Klitschko was he was a guy that had learning difficulties, and a young girl was killed in a Yorkshire town, and his mother was called Alma. Well, I was told she was referred to as Alma Klitschko, and Stephen Klitschko was basically beaten up, and the copper's got a false confession out of it. And if he would have hung. If we'd have had the death penalty, he would have hung. And it was only years later. I think he spent something like 20 years inside. And they found that he was not guilty, because he couldn't have. It was DNA, or But if you look into the case of Stephen Klitschko, that was a classic hang him type. Hang him.
Bentley as well.
Yeah, Bentley. Let him have it. Let him have it.
That was the last one. And I agree, it's a very thorny subject, but my gut reaction is it shouldn't be off the table. I think it has a place there. Like Lee, and I'll say it, Levi Belfield. I think he needs hanging. Right? He's murdered all them young girls. He took them in the primary
child rapist.
He's a shitbag. He deserves to be hung. Yeah. And I think people like him, and the Yorkshire Ripper, Lee Nielsen and this, that, if you've caught
Huntley.
absolutely caught bang to rights, I think it should be an option.
I like where you're coming from with that one, Richie, and there are certain people that sadly, and I'm not proud to say this, that deserve to die.
Yeah.
There are, but it's it's the slippery slope of function creep. Because once you've you've hung a couple of people, then you can turn and go, oh well, he's almost as bad as that one.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, we're hanging people that are innocent and stuff like that. Yeah. And I just don't think you can fully trust, the judiciary or the police.
And I don't. And that's my only reservation. We've all seen, back in the 70s and 80s, the police, investigations not as good as they should have been. Now we've got DNA and this, that, and the other, and everyone's got video cameras now, and a lot of these crimes.
Well, there is that, but they can still mess up, though, can't they? I mean, I saw something on YouTube, and I think it might have gone back about 10 years now. It was about a family in might have been in the southwest sort of area, anyway. It was where this family, and there was like this custody battle thing going on, and the father sort of like videoed everything about these kids, and it was to do with satanic cults, and they come out with this absolute massive story, these children, about how they were forced to go into this church in this secret room.
That was awful. That was scarily awful.
That,
It was absolutely, and without going too much into that, I mean, anyone that's been through the family court system will probably agree how awful the family court system is. I like to think that I know a little bit about corruption now, and I will go on record as saying this: the family court system is the most corrupt system, organisation, government organisation that I've ever come across, easily.
But do you not think there are? There is some good social workers, isn't there? I wouldn't like to think that there isn't. Maybe I'm being quite naive there. You always hear of these people that go. Social services are just there to steal babies, and but there is a side that no one ever sees about all these.
It's the bad ones that give the others the reputation. And I mean, I'm forever saying it. Every copper I meet, and I'm meeting a lot of coppers lately, obviously, in the council role I'm in, and with all the grief that's going on. And I actually am a fan of the police. I'm a fan of the constables and the sergeants. Once you start getting above, around the inspectors and above, you start seeing the political animals.
It's creeping in,
But, on a whole, I don't think many, I'd say the mass majority of coppers join the service to help people. You do get the occasional thug that want the authority, that want the uniform, that want to have the taser and the kosh. You do get them, and they deserve the name pigs. You do get pigs in the force, but you also get a lot. And I do think that it's the system that batters them down. I mean, they get into a police job, and when they start working out that they dislike it, they then have to work out that, they're not going to get any other job. They've got a pension to think about, a mortgage to worry about, and, the missus is pregnant and whatever else. So a lot of people do get trapped in that job. And it's the system that we need to change. And I'm forever saying it to everyone. The easiest way to defeat your enemy is to make them your friend. And social workers, I don't think many social workers get into that job to rip families apart. It's just that, you do get the occasional rogue ones. It's just like, I mean, what was that nurse's name? The nurse that killed a load of people. Beverly Alec, I mean, nurses, again, they're absolutely brilliant. And, my favourite emergency service workers, firemen. I love firemen, I've got, firemen are brilliant. But there have been firemen that have joined just to set fires to put out because they're not nymphomaniacs. They might be nymphomaniacs, pyromaniacs. They're pyromaniacs, aren't they? So you get the occasional pyromaniac that slips under the radar, and I think there was quite a high-profile one in the States. And it was a small country sort of fire department, and they had 4 or 5 fires a year, and then within the first sort of quarter, they had 70. And they were like, where's all these fires coming from? And then they worked out that the new recruit was, you know, light
Pyromaniac.
Yeah, it was a pyromaniac, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be a hero," and he was going round. And you know, another thing is, whenever something's set alight, whenever there's an arson attack, they film the crowd, because there's something stupid like an 80% chance that the person that set the fire is watching it.
Yeah.
So they go through and they go, right, are any of these people known pyromaniacs? What do you think about the death sentence, though, mate?
I think it's unprecedented, to be fair. I sort of like, I've known people that have lost loved ones in car accidents, stuff like that, and they've managed to get the person that's done the crime has managed to somehow get like a 6-year sentence out in 3 on licence, and I think that's, you know, they've taken people's lives away. They've probably had no insurance, no tax, under the influence, and you know what I mean, and they've done that, and then obviously you get the sex offenders that, you know, heinous crimes, and you know, half the time they'll get away with going on a sex offenders register, and you know, they'll get a suspended sentence. So I do think there is a problem with the justice system where crimes are not proportionate in the sentences, in certain ones anyway.
It needs beefing up, for sure. It needs.
Well, the thing is, though, Richard, is you know, I like rehabilitation rather than punishment, because punishment doesn't teach you not to do it again. It just teaches you to work out whether it's worth doing again, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know,
can you rehabilitate a paedophile?
No,
or
that's the thing.
That has
and
tendency to go out in a car uninsured, or
knowing what people can be rehabilitated is the key to it all. You know, and knowing how to rehabilitate some people, because everyone is different. Here's a really, really good. Hang on. I've got to pose it right. No, I'm going to let you keep on thinking. So that might be. We've only got about 4 or 5 minutes. And I'll quickly do it. So, what do you both think about the climate protesters that were blocking the roads? What do you think about them getting prison sentences when paedophiles can have thousands of kiddie images and not get a thing?
Yeah,
it's still not proportionate, is it?
No.
It can't be. Can't be.
No.
I understand why they're doing it. I do understand why they're doing it, but I would hope that they could do it in a different way, because obviously you've seen in the media where these, you know, the people that's trying to go and see a sick loved one that's in hospital, and they're on the death's doorbed, and they can't
ambulances, not being able to get through. And see, the thing is, right, I mean, you know, it's all about targeting the right people. I smiled when I saw that the Insulate Britain protesters stopped an MP going to Parliament. That was right. Yeah, that's good. I like that, because that is actually hitting the people. That is, you know, that they need to target. Really, you need to get to the people making the policy, affect the poor lad that's going to get a bollocking off his boss for turning up 2 hours late, or you know, the person that's trying to get to hospital or whatever it is. You know, I mean, my problem with that is the indiscriminate nature of it. You know, you need to target the people that are actually at fault. And whilst what they've done is to bring, you know, is to bring exposure to a really important issue, they've done it I do believe they've done it in the wrong way. They shouldn't be stopping the M25 because they are making enemies, you know, and people might look back at them. You know, I mean, they probably looked at what are the suffragettes, you know, when the suffragettes and the lady got killed by the horse. You know,
Emily
I mean,
Pankhurst.
that's the one. At the time, they was absolute devils. How dare they stop the horse race and blah 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 and stuff like that. Now we look back at them and we go, you know what? You know, they needed to do it.
I think, Chrissy, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, I think I don't agree with them stopping the M25. They've got a right to protest, and I think there's much better ways to do it. They are alien. They are grabbing headlines, but they're alienating themselves. And the same token, the headlines have worked against them, because that's why they've been given prison sentences, because of the headlines. And their lines, the problem is trial by media. You know, we've all seen pictures of them online, so we all think we know all about them, but we don't. You know, and they're probably very well-meaning people. You know, I'd be blooming crazy with them if they blocked the M25 when I was going somewhere. especially, you know, working class people going to work, earning a living, you know, when they should be doing it somewhere else, you know.
Targeting the people that make a difference.
Obviously, in my role as well, I get to hear about other things going on, but I see on my local Facebook or media or whatever, where there's people that have disrupted traffic on, you know, for, I'll say the word falling from bridges and stuff like that, because I don't want to say anything else in case to trigger anyone.
Yeah.
And you get people moaning, well, it's taken me 3 hours to get home.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that person's not going home tonight or last night or whenever. I totally agree with you. There is ways and means of going about things and you know, doing it the right way. What is right and what is wrong? It's what they feel. They think they're going to get the biggest impact from it, isn't it? So
the most important way you can make headlines is getting yourself elected, because believe you me, that is the biggest headline. If the climate protesters all target an area, or they got themselves elected in their own respective areas, that's when they're going to start pushing the envelope, you know. And when the people in the community vote for them and respect them, and then they put their policies out there, that's when you get noticed. You know, you might grab a headline and think you're doing well. It's, oh, we made page 3, that doesn't do the trick, you know.
You need to be influencing the decisions, not just sort of like be a sideshow to them.
And what I always say is, being on the sideline of a game of football, you can actually be on playing football, you know, and that's where I think they should be. And, you know, I think everyone's got green sympathies, you know. I think everyone in this country has definitely got green sympathies, and we are sympathetic to the whole debate, whether you agree with everything or not. But I think they've gone the wrong way about it. But I kind of wish them all the best, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
because protest is protest. They haven't hurt anybody. Thankfully, I don't think anyone's been hurt. I think I've seen a few of them get a few smack around the ear rolls by grumpy lorry drivers and things like that. But, you know, that's all part of the...
What they're doing is better than apathy.
Exactly,
I've got to say, apathy really kills me.
Yeah.
You know, when you say to people, look, you really need to do this, and it, you know, and they're just like, oh, I can't be bothered. And I'll be like, oh, my God. We've hit our time. Thanks ever so much for calling in, me dear.
no worries.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me again.
No
We'll
worries.
speak to you soon, hopefully.
Yeah, call back, and thanks ever so much for helping out with, you know, the job you're doing. There are a lot of people that, you know, are really grateful for what you do, mate. Okay.
No worries. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Take care, babe.
Bye.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
So, guys, we're at the end of our hour. I'll give you a little, if you've stayed here until this time, just let you know, I've got a few specials coming up tomorrow, I hope, anyway. I'm doing something a little bit different tomorrow, and I'll probably live it all. So if you're about tomorrow, have a look in on this channel to see what I'm doing, what I'm up to. My mate's too old for it, though, but he can't do it.
I'm 10 years younger than you, Chrissy.
He mentally he's about 10 years younger than me, but he definitely don't look 10 years younger than me. So if you're about tomorrow, guys, I should have a couple of lives going up tomorrow that might be interesting.
Yeah, keep watching, because we've got some good stuff coming up.
Yeah. The number to ring, well, you got to text it now, because I'm not going to take any calls now. The number to text is 0758
777
1617. Yeah, give us a text with you know, and try and keep the messages a little bit short. I will read your text out to the fella. I can't remember what he called himself now, but he had a couple of funny names at the end. I'll get the longer ones, obviously, that have got more content in them. I'm gonna have to go away, and we're gonna have to come back with a more concise question, and, you know, the suitable answers. But yeah, send us a text. Give us an idea for a topic, ask us a question, whatever you want to do. And please, it's a talk show at the end of the day. It's have your say. So we will read the text messages out, and we will answer the questions, but we would like to talk to you, and we'd like to know what you have to say. 0758
777
1617. Guys, it's been emotional. Big love, and I'll see you tomorrow for some special content.
Bye
Take care, everybody.
Take care.